Hi, and welcome to another episode of What DoMe Does. I'm the hostess, DoMe Moore, along with my sidekick, a part of the Do crew. We got Jay over here. And we got Mr. Pauly on the sound camera thingy, the director, producer. He finally got his fly zipped up this time. And then today we have a special guest with us. We have Miss Shelita Taylor.
Hey, y'all.
Hi,
How you doing?
Well, good. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. We like to have somebody.
Oh, you got to have somebody sometime, right?
It's been very lonely.
Oh, my goodness. So, Shelita is new to our community almost a year now?
Almost, yeah. I'm almost to my caliversary.
Wow.
That's what we're calling it, the caliversary. Yeah.
It's cool.
Wow.
I like that.
Yeah, it was like, I can't believe it. The day we landed, it was 112 degrees.
Oh, that's welcome to California.
And I was like, okay, so this is what it's like. But it was so weird because I walked out and I was like, oh, it's such a beautiful day. Because when we flew out of Miami, it was like 98 degrees with 98% humidity. So the feel like temperature was about 175.
Ooh.
So it was like, we walked out, I'm like, oh, I can handle this. This is no problem. But now that I've been through a California winter, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
Because we said from Florida, right?
From Florida, yeah. I escaped the fascist state of Florida.
Oh, you migrated.
I did, yeah.
One of the
Me and my
survivors.
husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Well, and I was
Or
saying that when I
refugee.
was leaving, I'm like, I almost feel like a political refugee,
Mhm.
Ooh.
leaving Florida and coming out here, because it's like I can finally put the gloves down a little bit, only
Yeah.
for a minute.
Only for a
That only
minute, yeah.
lasted for a minute, but
Yeah, we're asking for
now,
it.
now it's like
polish
gotta
them
put them
up.
back on
Yeah.
again. But we had an opportunity to kind of pick up our lives and start new somewhere else in a new city where we know no one. I'd never have been to Sacramento to the day we
Wow.
moved here. Like we didn't even come scope out the city first. We just
Wow.
So
Yeah.
why'd you choose that? Like, what made you guys think of Sacramento then?
well, my husband, his job actually presented an opportunity, saying, we'll pay you we'll pay to relocate you
Oh, hell yeah.
out to California.
Get me the fuck
You
out
know,
of here.
and we're like, okay. Well, there were options on the table. There was either Sacramento or Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I'm not going to go from the South to the deep South. So we're gonna hit it. And with everything that I had been dealing with all the politics and the drag is not a crime movement and
Yeah.
all of that going on in Florida, I personally was ready to just start fresh
Pack up and move
pack
and-
up and
yeah.
go and just be able to enjoy myself a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So when we were looking at that, we were like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's get rid of everything. Let's pack up the car. Let's take the kiddies and let's just go see what happens. And so here we are,
Oh.
11 months later. So
And
it's
you're like,
been a
awesome.
What's
wild
to do in
ride.
Sacramento? Oh,
Yeah.
better sport.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's awesome.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah. So it wasn't like, Sacramento wasn't on, the radar of, places to go. And it was funny. I'd never actually been to Northern California till last year. We took a random last minute vacation. We like to do random last minute stuff. We took a random last minute vacation to San Francisco, and we went out to like Yosemite and stuff. And during that trip, we're like, could you imagine seeing us living out here? Oh, I don't know. And 6 months later, that offer dropped
Yeah.
on his
How
desk.
cool. Yeah,
And
it's
it
so
was
funny.
like,
Right.
whoa,
Right.
this is
Yeah.
weird.
Somebody
So
was listening to the conversation.
yeah, someone was listening in. So so here we are.
Wow.
It's
So
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 were you
crazy.
part of the the Pulse tragedy that
Yeah. I was actually started drag in the Orlando area.
Okay.
I grew up in like North Central Florida,
Okay.
just north of Orlando, in an area just outside of a park called Ocala. Very rural, very kind of backwoods Florida. When you
Mhm.
think of like the Florida swamps and Florida Man,
Yeah.
that's where I grew up.
Gators and all that stuff.
Yeah, gators. I remember camping as a kid, and you would take your flashlight over the river, and you would see all the eyeballs of the gators looking back at you in the
wow.
water.
For real?
Yeah, like
Just walking to school.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
"Oh
oh
my
yeah.
God."
Like they would like cross the road, and they would stop traffic and stuff. Yeah, you'd have like an 8-foot long gator just hanging out in the middle of US 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a normal day in the life, you
Yeah.
know. So,
Wow.
but yeah, so I started doing drag in the Orlando area, and right around the same time, like I went to the same school as drag as like Roxy Andrews, Detox, Coco Montrese, Alexis Mateo.
Wow.
Like we all were fostered in the same
Okay.
community. So actually, me and Roxy did our first big pageant together. We competed against
wow.
each other. Roxy Andrews. And
Who won?
so she did, obviously. And she's continued to win everything ever since in
She's
life.
awesome,
But
yeah.
I love Roxy. I'm so excited that she's going to be here in Sacramento. But yeah, so I did a lot of stuff at Pulse. Actually, speaking of Roxy, on Tuesdays there was a Latin night that her and my drag sister Dominique Taylor, they used to host it together. So I was and I used to be the driver. So I would be there at Pulse every Tuesday night. Plus other events and stuff. So I'd been in and around the community for a long time. So when that happened, that was very, very, very close to home. I lost friends in the attack. I had, drag family that was, crawling through air ducts to get out of the building and stuff. It's hard. It's even still to this day, if I go to Orlando, to even drive down the street that Pulse is on and to see the way that it's all boarded up. And it's just, even still, it's become a memorial site now, which is beautiful to go and, pay respect to our friends that we lost and everything. But it's still very hard, and the crazy thing about that is after I graduated, moved away, I moved to a city called Port St. Lucie, which is kind of like the northern part of South Florida. And the shooter from Pulse nightclub actually lived in the city I lived in Port St. Lucie. Him and his whole family lived there. His house was 5 minutes down the street from the gay bar that I worked at.
Oh my gosh.
So it very easily could, the club is called Rebar Nightclub. It very easily could have been our club.
Yeah.
But he decided he needed a
bigger
target. So it ended up being Orlando. And it was, so that whole situation was just it hit very close to home.
How long ago was that? It was been like...
It was 2016.
Was it 16?
I
Okay,
think.
because it was before COVID. So
Yeah, I think that was 2016.
Yeah.
Because I was, I had just started filming a TV show with my mother, actually. Crazy. I have stories, baby.
Sidebar.
Sidebar. But yeah, that was because the first time I went to go visit Pulse was while we were filming the TV show. I didn't go for probably 3 months or so before I went over, but we were in Orlando filming, and I'm like, well, since I'm here, I kind of have to, So it was good. I was actually able to go visit it with my mom next to me and like kind of help me through that moment, of the first visual of that, but it's Orlando has come back stronger than ever. The community there is amazing.
I can imagine.
Even with what's going on, it's
even with what's going on. And that's the thing about Florida is that there's pockets. A lot of people look at the politics of Florida, and especially now with the way it's been, because it hasn't always been that way. It hasn't always been this ruby red anti anything that's not straight cisgender male. It's like it's not always been that way. It was more purple-ish, but you have pockets like Orlando. In Fort Lauderdale, you have Wilton Manors, which is amazing for our community. It's the neighborhood down in Fort Lauderdale. You have, South Beach, Miami, which is a great hub. Key West is a great safe space for us. So there are, Tampa is another great area that's great for our community. A lot of our queer elders retire in St. Pete. There's a great system in place there for them. So there are those little bubbles. You just don't go outside those bubbles. And I lived outside of those bubbles.
Yeah.
So it was, if you were there, if you were like in Orlando, you didn't feel it as hard when like, because the way that it worked out when COVID hit, when Ron DeSantis, or Governor Kitten Heels, as I like to call him, because he wears his little lifts and his shoes, when he opened everything back up and was like, come to Florida if you like freedom, unless, if you're a straight white man and you like freedom, come to Florida. And so all those people flooded the state. So election season comes around and it's like, what has just happened to our great state of Florida? So it happened gradually over time. And then all of a sudden it was like, blew us all out of the water. We're like, where did all these people come from? Where did this, because it was such a welcoming place. Like Florida used to pride itself on being welcoming to the LGBT community. So it's done a complete 180, and that wasn't that long ago. Even the gay club that I worked at went from hosting a victory party when Obama won to 4 years later in 2016, I almost lost my job as a show director for speaking out against Donald Trump. Like, that was 4 years.
Wow.
You know, that's how things start, you know, and that's how it started. It started off as oh, well, we don't talk about politics and we don't, you know, do that. But then all of a sudden, there's been this whole right-wing wave of stuff that went in. I'm like, because we didn't want to talk about it, now we're here.
Yeah.
You know,
Now we're
and
talking about it.
so it's been it was a wild couple of years. And to have people like, you know, Pam Bondi, who is our attorney general right now of the country, she was so against allowing gay marriage in Florida. She spoke terribly about the queer community. Even during the Pulse attack, she was talking negatively about us. I'm like, you know, to see people like that get in power, I'm like, this is what has been happening in Florida. And now it's seeping into the rest of the country. And everyone else is about to get a rude awakening as to what this really is. And
that is crazy.
It's nuts. It's nuts. And, you know, anything I can do to awaken people's eyes to it.
I will. Well, it's crazy because, like, for Florida, like Texas, I always thought Texas was like, stay out of Texas because you'll be dead. Not really, but you know what I mean? Like, that was the state that was so red. And now Florida, it's like, I'm going to Key West. I'm scared.
Right. Well, it seems like Florida and Texas are in a competition with each other to see who would be the most conservative.
Yeah.
You know?
Who's got the bigger dick? Right,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And neither one of them do.
I know.
You know, it's like, my goodness. It really, you know, it's like now I can laugh about it.
Yeah.
That I'm separated from the situation a little bit, but I still have conversations with, you know, my trans friends who make sure that someone watches their back when they go to the bathroom because Karen is standing there just waiting.
Yeah.
For, you know, like I have a lot of trans friends in Florida. And honestly, if I'm really looking at it, most of my friends in the queer community in Florida are trans. Or non-binary. Yeah. You know, so, and has been since I was 18 years old. I've just always gravitated to that community, you know, growing up, you know, marginalized in my community and being the only gay kid in the, you know, redneck town, you know, I really, you know, I not necessarily identified, but I felt, you know, felt their pain and I felt that struggle.
Felt like one of them.
You know, I felt like one of them. Yeah. I felt that, you know, that kinship. So, and then being in the drag community, you know, I was fortunate enough to learn drag from some of the most beautiful trans queens in the country. You know, pageantry in Florida is huge. Huge, and some of the best pageant queens in the country have come from Florida. So that's the soup that I learned drag in, and I'm very fortunate for that. But yeah, all of them were all trans icons, you know. So it's like, you know, the people that Sasha Colby and, you know, all those girls learned from. That was the school I learned from. So when the attack started coming after the trans community, it was like, here we go again. You know, it hurts a little bit, you know. So but yeah, it's good to be here, but it's hard to sit and watch them still going through it. You know, we were lucky that, you know, now the anti-drag bill has been thrown out. All of the anti-LGBT laws that they tried to push through this legislative session, all thrown out. Like, so it's turning back the other direction in Florida. I think they said, okay, enough is enough. How many bills are we going to write against these people? You know, and I think they're starting to see the reality of the hatefulness that's really behind it. You know, they like to disguise it in, you know, oh, we're trying to protect children. We're just making sure, you know, families have say in what goes on and what their kids see and do and all that. No, you're policing people is what you're trying to do. You know, you're threatening businesses' liquor licenses if they have drag shows, you know, and there happens to be somebody 17 in the audience. You know, it was like they were really like going after, you know, ridiculousness, you know. So, very true. And we didn't sit back and just let it happen. We rallied. We rallied up. We had the largest drag queen march in the country's history, you know, and in Tallahassee just 2 years ago. You know, we all had community leaders. I was a community leader of my area, and we all just came together. We got on buses, bussed like 20 buses up to Tallahassee from all over Florida. It was the biggest like drag reunion because I've been in Florida my whole life and I've performed all over the state. So I have sisters everywhere, you know? So it was the first time all of us were like hundreds of us together. It was the biggest family reunion you can think of. And we marched up the street. We marched into the Capitol. We made sure our voices were heard and we were loud and gorgeous doing it too. It was fun. It was a good, and we drank a lot too afterwards.
Well, you have to.
Ooh, we were partying down. Those bars
Wigs
in
were coming off.
Tallahassee that night made so much money. We
Yeah.
were carrying on, baby. It was
Oh,
fun,
my
but-
goodness.
and we all slept on the buses on the way back home. It was fun though, but it was all for, an amazing cause. And they're still, they're still up there fighting, and Equality Florida and all the work they do has been incredible. So yeah, I
We
see
have a
us
long
moving
fight
in
ahead
the
of us still, so
Oh yeah, especially with this administration, it's just now. I feel it's just now ramping up.
got 4 more years, I think.
Mm-hmm. And with that, their supporters feel more emboldened, feel more empowered to say and do. And I've had so many protesters at my events over the last couple of years. I even heard they were at Davis Pride yesterday. They were at I think there were some at Placer Pride too.
I didn't hear the ones on Placer Pride, but Davis Pride, I did see and hear it yesterday.
Yeah, I think I saw a post about it or something like that.
So,
but yeah, it's they're feeling more emboldened, so we gotta be careful. We gotta have each other's backs. We gotta watch out, be vigilant, because you don't know how far somebody's willing to go.
Very
and
true.
How,
very true.
How much hate they have in their heart.
Yeah.
It can be a bit much.
Sure.
Yeah.
I noticed at Placer Pride, you're a motivational speaker.
Yes.
What got you into that?
That happened by accident. It actually stems from all the stuff I've been doing with politics and everything. I was making the media rounds, speaking on our behalf, trying to make drag relatable to the everyday person, realize that what we do is art and, not a sexual thing. It can be if you want it to be, but, not blanketing all drag is like blanketing all movies. You have PG movies, you have PG-13 movies, you have rated R movies, you have rated X movies. There's all different kinds of movies. There's all different kinds of drag. So I was trying to promote that, and let the normal people see that. So within that, a lot of organizations like, Martin County Democrats, Treasure Coast Democrats, a lot of the political organizations were asking me to come in and speak. So that kind of just, I would start with that. And then it went to LGBT organizations and just going and telling my story. And it wasn't something I really looked to do. Didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a motivational speaker. I've always been someone who's like, I was always taught if you are able to use your voice, use it. If you're able to speak up for marginalized people, do it. If you're able to help and inspire somebody who might be feeling a little down about themselves, do it. Because I needed that. Yeah. Growing up, I needed somebody like that. Yeah. So my goal, is to be that person for somebody else. And however that manifests itself is how it manifests itself. If it's on stage, if it's, speaking in front of an audience, if it's singing, whatever it may be, I just want to be a good inspiration to somebody.
That's very good. And you are.
Thank you.
You are.
I appreciate it.
Well, I can't wait to hear this, but I haven't heard any of the motivational speech yet. So what were you talking about?
Well, kind of a lot of what we were talking about today was a lot about politics and just coming out the other side of that. Not letting the things that you go through hold you back or destroy you or allow them to, be a weight that's on you. I grew up with extreme bullying in school, extreme bullying, physical, emotional, all of it. And then when I went to my school administrators, they said, if you didn't act the way you act, if you weren't as feminine as you are, if you weren't as flamboyant as you are, you wouldn't have half the problems you have. So they put it back on me like it was my
your
fault.
Always.
So I didn't have so it was there like the only support system I had was my mother. That was it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like,
Luckily you had that.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have that because some people don't even have that.
Yeah. I was just saying, a lot of people don't have family that will have their back on that case.
Right. Yeah. And, and I've talked to so many of those poor kids who are like, they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
And that's why, spaces like the LGBT Center and all that are so important because they, they're needed. They're needed. So that's, that's really what it is. It's just telling my story, talking about how, how
life is.
Yeah. how I survived that.
Yeah.
And then becoming, living through my art and surviving that and using what the trauma I've been through to create art and to make the world a better place. That's really where all of it leads to,
true.
Using your talents and your skills to just make the world a better place.
Very true.
So I know we're filming in a new location, so it's a little cramped. We're going to take a quick break. Get some air going in here. And then we'll be right back.
Yes. Hey.
Oh.
All right, we're back from our little short recess because we had to cool the room down.
Yeah, she's fresh and touched up again. And
Our studio doesn't have air conditioning, so we have a little swamp cooler thingy, and then we have ice packs under our seats.
Because we can't run it while we're recording.
Shelita and I have so much padding, we don't even feel the ice pack.
oh, right, yeah. It's like I thought my toes were going numb from my pantyhose and the high heels and stuff. I'm like, no, it's the ice under your feet.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
That's the vapors coming up from under the table.
Right.
It's not doomy, it's not dried ice. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You are also a part of the Sacramento Gay Men's Chorus.
I am.
How did you get into that?
So that's a fun story. When we were researching moving to Sacramento, I noticed two things. One, the amazing drag community that's here. That was like, I could not believe how big it was.
Yeah.
And that the city would even put up stuff about drag queens on their website was like beyond me.
Mm-hmm.
That was number one. And number two was the chorus.
Very
Like
good.
I was just like looking at, I think I typed in gay Sacramento and of course they popped up.
Yeah.
And I started watching videos of them and I think they were doing like the first one I saw was them performing Material Girl or something like that.
Okay.
And it was super cute, it was super fun, but I was sitting there watching it with my husband and I started crying. And well, one, because I'm the world's biggest Madonna fan and I'm like, oh my God, they're doing a Madonna song. But I was just like, I want to be a part of that. I'm like, that alone is worth going to Sacramento for because it was like I could feel through the screen the family and the fun that they have, and they sound good too. They're talented, So I'm like, that's cool. I said, we're gonna move to Sacramento and I'm gonna join that. So we got here and we got settled in. We found our apartment. And I'm like, okay, let me reach out to them. And they had just done their rehearsals, like their auditions, like the week before. I sent them a message for their holiday show. I'm like, okay, fine. I tried to get them to just let me on anyway, and they're like, no, you got to wait till January. I'm like, but I'm Shelita Taylor. Let me.
Don't you know who I am?
It's really aggravating, but I was like, okay, whatever. But I've had to say that a few times around here. Just Google me, baby. Come on, But so I waited till the winter for their next audition, and I was doing a show, and Alex, the director, actually came to my show, and he was sent there, I think, by a friend of his or somebody else who had told him about me, and they were planning their upcoming show. And he came to talk to me about it. He wanted me to be a part of it. And I'm like, oh, you silly goose. I've already put in my application to audition to be part of the chorus. So because this season, the show has a lot to do with drag. And the inspiration of drag on the LGBT community, the history of drag, all of that. So so it was kind of, he wanted me to come in and be part of some of the things that they have going on. So the universe kind of conspired for that all to come together. And so I auditioned and, joined the chorus, and I had to audition like everybody else. It wasn't like because of, there was none of that. None of that. I don't play that foolishness. As Madonna said, you can sleep your way to the middle, but you cannot sleep your way to the top. So
I'm okay with the middle. I'm okay with the middle.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too. I'd be happy with the middle.
At 45, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But that happy ending.
Yeah. But so I joined the chorus, and the rest is history. They're celebrating their 40th season right now, and getting to do a lot of really, really cool stuff with them, and
I get to be a part of it too.
I know.
You're a singer?
This the show that's happening, and it's coming up not this weekend, but next weekend, the 20th, 21st, and the 22nd.
Yeah.
At the Sophia, the what is it, the B Street
the old B Street Theater.
Yeah. It's right up the street here. We're doing the show there. Yeah, a lot of the local queens are being involved in it.
We don't know what we're doing yet, but we're going to be in the show.
I'm in the show and I don't even know what we're doing. It's that top secret. Like,
it's a men's choir.
Pretty.
Our chorus. The men's chorus is putting this on, or
it's a concert by the men's chorus, and they're bringing in a lot of the local drag superstars to be featured in the show throughout it. It's going to be drag queens are going to be sprinkled throughout the entire show. It's going to be fun.
Well, speaking of fairy dust all over.
Yeah. Well, and it's great because if you look at this, I'm not going to give away what our set list is, but if you because you have to come to the show to see the set list. But if you look at it, you would look at it and say, this is a drag show. Like
cool.
I
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at each song on the set list and I can think of a drag queen who I have seen perform
To
each
perform
and
that
every
song,
single song that is on there. A lot of them are in my repertoire.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
we go from all the divas, from Cher to Madonna, Donna Summer, Judy Garland,
so there's some
Whitney
power.
Houston, Dolly Parton. Like we go through everybody,
Mm.
I think there's some Aretha Franklin thrown in there too. There's some
wow.
Lizzo.
So
There's
who's the Whitney? Are you the Whitney of the group?
No.
Who's got that voice?
we have some Whitneys. There are
Do
some
we?
there are some
There are some
grand
Whitneys out there.
divas in that chorus.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is.
There was actually yesterday when we were doing Davis Pride. We had one of our grand diva soloists out there doing one of our songs, and they became the star of the day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got there just when that was
right
happening.
at
yeah.
the end
yeah.
of it, right? Yeah, I'm not giving anything away.
Yeah.
I'm not. You have to come to the show, buy tickets, so they're actually selling out quickly. So
Oh, awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just go online to the Sacramento Gay Men's
yeah,
Chorus.
Sacramento
and
Gay
sign
Men's
them up.
Chorus.com, and they have all the tickets there. You can get your tickets for we're doing 4 shows over 3 days. So there's a Friday night show. There's 2 shows on Saturdays.
Yeah.
So you can do the Saturday afternoon, which is almost completely sold out. Or you have Saturday evening, which there's a couple more seats for that one, but not much. And then we're doing like a Sunday matinee.
A matinee.
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
So
That's a lot of drag for us.
it's a lot of drag. Yeah, a lot of drag, a lot of singing, but it's gonna be such a fun
It is.
show.
It's a good fun.
It's-
At the end, we all kind of gripe about it. Oh, I don't want to put it on. But once we're in character, you're like, I'm still on stage, bitch. Let me alone.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. You're living in the moment, and it's
Okay.
like, the work leading up to it, the drag of it all,
Very
can really be a drag.
Yeah.
It can be.
Life's a drag.
Yeah.
So speaking of the drag though, since you do sing, do you perform singing in your I haven't seen you perform.
I
with that.
typically don't.
No.
I typically because I'm a bass. My singing voice is very deep.
Yeah.
So the voice doesn't match the picture.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
true,
saying?
yeah.
And not to
that might be fun though.
it's very interesting sometimes.
Yeah.
I do pull it out sometimes, when especially if there's like a straight guy in the audience, just to send him off to like
That's awesome. Yeah.
Pluto and
Totally.
really confuse them. I'd be like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" And they're just like,
Where's
they
your
lose
wife?
it, right? So I do it occasionally. There's a gig coming up actually that I might be singing live at.
Yeah.
So there's a little like Wicked Wizard of Oz production coming up, a local venue that I'm working on. So I might sing live.
Yeah.
We'll see. I also might pull a Madonna and pre-record my live vocals and lip
Just
sync
lip
to
sync
it.
it.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool. Yeah.
we'll see.
As long as you're
we'll see how my voice is feeling after the concert.
Well,
next
as long
week,
as you're
but-
singing though, and in some capacity, because at least you have.
And singing is what brought me to drag.
Yeah.
Like I grew up as a choir kid. I
Okay.
did chorus from 4th grade all the way up through graduating high school every single year.
Mhm.
So that is kind of where everything started for me as a performer is
Okay.
singing. I've been on stage since I was 7, like doing theater, choir, dance, all of it. They called us triple threat back in the
Okay.
theater days. But so my love of drag came from my love of music because I loved pop music that vocally I couldn't sing
Yeah.
because I'm a bass. I have a low voice and I was trained classically to do like opera and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't lend itself to, going out and doing your favorite Britney Spears song, So I started doing drag so I could perform that kind of stuff, and it started just, fun or whatever, but it came from my love of music and singing and all that. Like the songs that I pick my song before I pick my outfit, before I pick my wig, before anything.
I do that too.
Yeah.
I do that too. I have to get into that character.
Mhm.
I don't look like that character, but I gotta.
The character of the
somewhat-
song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, it's like the story that the song is telling, and that's what it is for me. Drag is like, it's not necessarily about the look. I don't care what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
As long as it's comfortable for me to perform in. I'm about the performance. I'm about telling the story. I'm about the music.
Yeah.
So going into the Gay Men's Chorus and this particular show is like the embodiment of everything that I love artistically.
That's so cool.
It's drag, it's singing, it's music, songs that I love, songs that all of us love.
Yeah.
Everyone who comes to the show is gonna be able to sing along to every song that they hear.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be filled with all kinds of camp and fabulous drag.
And the holiday shows are that way too.
Yeah.
know,
The holiday
yeah.
shows are a lot of fun.
And that always puts you in that holiday spirit. Some people, they're like, not a Christmas person. But when you go to the men's chorus, it puts you into that spirit. Oh my God, I'm ready to go shopping. I'm ready to, I'm ready to deck the halls or
Right.
something.
Yeah, I'm excited to be part of my first holiday show with them because I am like the Christmas queen. I love the holidays. Like, I am like I have a holiday album out.
Do you
Yeah,
really?
it's
Oh,
under my boy persona, Jason. I put out a holiday album over during COVID. I had
Wow.
recorded an album at home with me and a bottle of Pinot Grigio, and and it started off as like a present to my family because we couldn't be home for Christmas because of all the craziness going on with COVID.
Okay.
So it started off as I'm going to record this because that was like a singing around the Christmas tree. I would always sing every year for my family and stuff. So I recorded a Christmas album for them, and then it ended up on iTunes and everything like that. We just released it. So I'm excited to be a part of all the holiday festivities this year. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Sacramento Mariah Carey.
All I want for Christmas.
For Christmas, yeah. And your 401k.
Yes, and 401k. Everything.
Don't tell my husband I said that. But,
as long as you split it, I'm sure he wouldn't mind.
Yeah, he wouldn't mind as long as he gets a cut of the deal. You know?
That's true. Very true. Well, is there anything else you want to let everybody know about you? And
no, just that my calendar is open. I am ready for bookings. She wants to be booked, busy, and blessed. But no, I am booked, busy, and blessed. And I'm very grateful and thankful to the entire Sacramento queer community for being so welcoming to me. I came here almost expecting to like hang up my heels for a little while, maybe pop out every once in a while. And it started off that way, but over the last 3 or 4 months, things have really picked up for me. And a lot of people have opened a lot of doors for me, including, you allowing me to have this opportunity. Taryn Through You has done a lot for me. Sia, MV, Suzette, everybody around here has just been so welcoming to me and giving me opportunities, and they didn't have to. So I'm very grateful for that.
Well,
so
good,
thank you to the entire queer community here. I love you guys. You've been amazing.
Well, we love having you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been great.
Awesome.
Many more fun times together. This is just the beginning.
That's very true.
I have 100 more questions to ask you, but we're gonna have to say that for another episode.
Yes,
I'm just
we
like,
have another guest coming.
How much more that
really
I can just
yeah,
off of?
I know, and I get to rambling.
No, that's okay, but I'm like, okay, sidebar. What are we talking about?
So we're gonna definitely book you again for come out and play with us.
Yeah, I will. I'll totally come have a good time.
Yeah. This will be set up a little bit better. We might have air conditioning.
Little air conditioning, right? I know. I'll wear
or dry ice pads.
A little pussycat wig on.
You can just put it in the pad.
Like my little 2-piece bathing suit. We'll just, we'll make it a summer party.
You can come for the Naked Coffee Talk episode.
Only if it's iced coffee, though.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't learned about that yet. Iced coffee.
Yeah, iced coffee, please. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, again, we want to thank you for joining us. And then, again, this was episode number 5. And we want to thank you guys for joining us. And remember, follow us on Spotify, Apple what? Apple Podcasts.
That thing you haven't listened to yet.
I know you didn't even make flashcards. You know I'm old. And then you can follow us on our, our Facebook page and our Instagram page just to get the information of where you can watch us.
One. DoMe one.
You got a microphone. You could say that too.
Yeah, but he's our editor. He could just put it at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, he could just put it at the bottom of the screen. Look at the bottom of your screen.
The bottom of the screen, the information will be on there.
There you go.
And just follow us on What DoMe Does. Okay, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Air.
Yay!
Air.